He's got an uphill climb to make an impact for Buffalo, but obviously he kind of fits the types of players the Bills like to add. What's up, everybody? It's Joe Marino from the Draft Network, and I'm here to talk about the Buffalo Bills 2022 NFL Draft Class and break down everything you need to know about what general manager Brandon Beane was able to accomplish in this year's draft. Entering the draft, the Bills really didn't have a ton of pressing needs, but one of them was at the cornerback position, where Tre'Davious White, the Bills' number one cornerback, was coming off of a torn ACL, and the longtime starter opposite of him, Levi Wallace, left to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, opening the opportunity for the Bills to invest their first pick in a cornerback, and that's exactly what they did. In the first round, number 23 overall, Kyreelam, the cornerback out of Florida, was the Bills' first-round pick, and it gives Buffalo an exciting option to pair with Tre'Davious White at cornerback and give them a really talented pair of coverage men. And what's really exciting about Kyreelam is the ball skills. This is a guy that has the ability to make game-changing plays on the ball. He's versatile in terms of a guy that you could play up in the line of scrimmage in press coverage, and he's really good in zone because he has those coverage instincts, the ball skills, and the anticipatory skills necessary to work into coverage windows and take away throws. And so he comes from the SEC, he's battle-tested, and he's ready to immediately challenge to be the starter opposite of Tre'Davious White in his first season. In the second round, the Bills went to the offensive side of the football, picking James Cook, running back out of Georgia, at number 63 overall. And while the Bills received some really good contributions from Devin Singletary towards the end of the 2021 season, he was the only guy that they trusted to touch the football. And so what James Cook provides this Bills offense is an X factor, a complementary piece to go with Devin Singletary that provides speed and receiving ability. Those are two things that have been missing from this Bills backfield, and Cook can really stress the perimeter of defenses and win with speed in ways that the other Bills backs can't. And obviously the pass catching upside, what this guy can bring as a versatile receiving threat. Not only can he catch the football out of the backfield, he can run routes as a traditional receiver as well. And those hands, those route running skills, that's going to be a major asset to Josh Allen. And we know that the Bills love to pass the football. For Josh Allen to now have a target like James Cook to work the football to and keep him on schedule only make this Bills offense even better. In the third round, the Bills selected Terrell Bernard, a linebacker from Baylor, number 89 overall. And this is an interesting selection because this might be a signal that the Buffalo Bills are going to play more three linebacker sets. Traditionally, under Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier, the Bills have run a 4-2-5 defense, a base nickel defense. And with the drafting of Terrell Bernard fairly high, it could be a signal that the Bills want to play more three linebacker sets. And when you think about the Bills division, the AFC East, three teams, the Patriots, Jets, and Dolphins, that want to run the football. The entire AFC North wants to run the football. The Colts, the Titans, big-time run-heavy teams. And Buffalo wants to invite teams to play in Western New York late in the season, obviously in the playoffs, and host playoff games, and that's going to be running the football. And when Josh Allen's your quarterback, teams are going to want to run the football because they want to keep 17 on the sideline, and the way that they can do that is by controlling the clock and running the football. And so all that to say that with the Bills now making a fairly significant investment in Terrell Bernard, when they already have Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano, it's a signal to me that the Bills could play more three linebacker sets, and Bernard could be the guy that is that third linebacker, and he's a really good coverage player. He's a good gap shooter, and so the Bills can maintain a lot of their nickel principles by having Bernard as that third linebacker because he's so good in space and so good in coverage. So an interesting selection, but perhaps it gives us some clues about how the Bills scheme can evolve now with some different personnel compared to what the Bills have typically had in previous years. In the fifth round, the Bills found a steal in wide receiver Khalil Shakur out of Boise State, number 148 overall. And Shakur can do so many different things for the Bills. I think, first of all, he's a guy that profiles as the punt returner, and that's been an issue for the Bills since they let Andre Roberts walk in free agency. And I think that's an important box that Shakur can check right off the bat. But he's also a really exciting wide receiver where the route running ability, the ball skills, the hands, the competitive toughness, the yards after catch, it's all there for Khalil Shakur, who profiles well to playing in the slot. And the Bills have Jamison Crowder as their slot receiver this year, but he may only be a one-year player considering he only signed a modest one-year deal. And so while I think Shakur can be the Bills' starting punt returner right away, in 2023, he may be the primary slot receiver and give the Bills a really interesting player to go with Gabriel Davis and Stephon Diggs to round out the receiver core and give Josh Allen the types of receivers that he's traditionally won with, guys that are detailed route runners with good ball skills. That's what the Bills got in Khalil Shakur. In the 6th round, number 180 overall, Matt Ariza, the punt god out of San Diego State, was the Bills' pick. The Bills have had punter issues for several years now. Last year, Matt Hawk came over, and while he was a really good holder, he was a highly, and I mean highly, inconsistent punter, and that's on the heels of having Corey Bojorquez, a very high-variance punter for a few years, and Colton Schmidt. The Bills just haven't figured out this punter situation under Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. Matt Ariza, a guy that gives him a chance to have a long-term answer, guy coming in on a rookie deal, and as the Bills' roster continues to get more expensive every year, having your specialist as inexpensive players on the roster makes a lot of sense. Now, Matt Ariza, big booming leg. The key for him is, can he learn to control that leg a little bit more consistently, and can he fill the role of holder? And that's another primary function of a punter. And for the Bills, the punters are holding a whole lot more than they are actually punting. And so that's a big question mark for Matt Ariza to take care of, but this gives Buffalo a real chance to have their answer at punter for years to come. In the 6th round, the pick was Christian Benford, cornerback Villanova, at number 185 overall. And Benford's a really interesting player. He's a guy that had a ton of ball production at Villanova, a really good tackler, a really good run defender. And so I think for a team like Buffalo that prioritizes special teams, Benford gives them a guy that can be groomed to take over for Tywan Jones, who plays an important role as a gunner and a jammer on the punt team, and is also very good at covering kicks and blocking on the kickoff return team and on the punt return team as well. And so Benford really profiles well based on his play temperament and demeanor and physicality and tackling skills. He can help on special teams, but he's also, like I said, a ball hawk. And while I don't predict that he's going to take over for Jordan Poyer or Micah Hyde in time, he does have a similar background as a corner that can transition to safety and maybe give the Bills depth and potentially a starter in time at safety. And so there's a lot of things that Benford could do for this football team. Very interesting player that the Bills were able to get in the 6th round. Now, the Bills had a couple more 6th-round picks. They had Luke Tenuta, number 209 overall. He's an offensive tackle from Virginia Tech, an extremely tall football player. And for a guy that's 6'8", he doesn't necessarily have great length. But this is a player who's a coach's son. The coaches at Virginia Tech rave about his demeanor and football character. He's got good temperament as a blocker. He has good control of his frame for a guy that's 6'8". It's just the questions are, how does he overcome his lack of length and just his natural leverage issues being 6'8", and a guy that really is a tackle only, that doesn't really profile well as a guard. And so Tenuta is going to have an uphill climb to make this roster, but as a developmental player that the Bills can have on the practice squad to work underneath Aaron Kromer, perhaps he can develop into an appealing option as a developmental swing tackle. And then the Bills' last pick, 7th round, number 231 overall, Brandon Spectre, linebacker from Clemson. And Spectre is a player that his first 2 years at Clemson, he was an important special teams player. And then the last 2 seasons, he was a standout at linebacker. Now, he's not the biggest, but he is pretty athletic. But where this really fits a need for Buffalo is linebacker depth. That's something the Bills have clearly wanted to work on this offseason, whether it's with free agent signings or in the draft. Obviously, they double-dipped at linebacker. They want to improve their depth there. And Spectre has given the ability already that he could play on teams and help on defense. And so he's got an uphill climb to make an impact for Buffalo, but obviously he kind of fits the types of players the Bills like to add, special teams players, a guy that's smart and urgent on defense, an athlete, It's just about, can he climb the depth chart and unseat a lot of good football players ahead of him? But obviously the Bills, a team that prioritizes special teams, gets a guy in Spectre who shined on special teams. So what did you think of the Buffalo Bills 2022 NFL draft class? Leave us a comment below. Make sure you like this video and that you're subscribed to the Draft Network on YouTube, and stay tuned to the Draft Network for all of your NFL, college football, and NFL draft coverage.